With a game series as big as FNAF, it's no wonder that over its 11 years of existence, some parts of the FNAF IP have become lost media, with that including, but not limited to, merch, games, attractions, fan-made creations, and so much more. But what are some of these pieces of FNAF lost media, and how did we get here? Well, in this video, I have compiled almost all of my previous FNAF lost media videos into this one seamless and easy to watch supercut that you can play while falling asleep, studying, working, or just as background noise, all while simultaneously learning about everything there is to know about some of FNAF's most infamous pieces of lost media, regardless of if you're a fan or not. Also, since some of the videos featured in the supercut are kind of old, at the end of this video I have included updates on new information found on these pieces of lost media, along with a personal story on how I went and found the FNAF Fright Dome location after all of these years, along with an interview with Dr. Creepypasta, the creator of the first original FNAF animatronics that were thought to have been lost media. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Anyways, timestamps are available if you want to skip through certain segments in this video, but without further ado, make sure to subscribe if you love lost media, and let's get into the video. This is the first and only officially licensed FNAF themed haunted house ever made, which was open to the public back in 2016. But after the Halloween season wrapped up that year, no other official Five Nights at Freddy's themed haunted houses were made ever again, meaning the props and decorations used in this haunted house were never used again. So that brings me to ask the question, what happened to everything after this Five Nights at Freddy's themed haunted house closed down? Do all the props still exist, and why does no one know what happened to everything after its permanent closure in 2016? Well, luckily for you, I was able to find out all of those answers, and even more. So with that being said, my name is Gavin, and let's find the lost media behind FNAF's only haunted house ever. Now, lost media is a term used to describe media that is no longer in existence or for which no copies can be found. If you're as chronically online as I am, you've probably heard of lost media or seen various videos talking about it. Usually, lost media can include visual, audio, or audio-visual media, such as movies, television, music, and most popularly, video games. But in the case of FNAF, there is various lost media regarding the franchise, such as lost trailers, characters, merchandise, and so much more, with one of the most popular instances of FNAF lost media being about a supposedly real trailer for FNAF 1 that was shortly deleted after being posted on Scott Cawthon's YouTube channel. This trailer supposedly included a very unique version of Endo 01 that instead had red eyes and slightly different features compared to the version we know today. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole for another video, because there's an even more interesting piece of lost media than that, and well, that is the lost FNAF haunted house that has slowly become lost media over the past 8 years. Now, I'm sure many of you might be asking, well, where was it located and what company produced it? Well, it was produced by a man named Jason Egan, who was the owner of the Fright Dome, which was a very popular Halloween themed event held at the Adventure Dome, which was an indoor amusement park at the Circus Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. The event ran annually from 2003 up until 2017, and it completely transformed the Adventure Dome into a massive haunted attraction during the Halloween season. Fright Dome was known for extremely intense and immersive haunted houses, scare zones, performances, and much more. Due to Fright Dome's popularity and reputation for being one of the scariest haunted attractions in the US, they would often partner with very well-known horror franchises, such as Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Saw. So with FNAF being extremely popular around that time, Jason Egan and his team reached out to Scott Cawthon to see if they can get permission to use the IP for a haunted house, and well, the rest is history. Late September 2016, Fright Dome opens, and for the opening of the FNAF haunted house, Scott Cawthon himself invited Corey X Kenshin, 8-Bit Ryan, 8-Bit Other Ryan, and Rizbowski to visit the haunted house for themselves, after which they all posted videos of them experiencing the haunt together, and included some of the most iconic photos of Scott Cawthon ever taken in these said videos. Around this time, the haunted house started getting an insane amount of traction due to these videos, and because of that, many people from around the world went to visit this attraction, making it one of Fright Dome's most successful haunts ever made before its closure. Because of how many people visited the attraction, there's multiple mentions of it online, and someone, presumably a worker, even snuck in a camera and took a full walkthrough video of the haunt, which was posted around this time on YouTube. That video absolutely blew up almost immediately, as the video shows off the full haunted house and everything that's in it, apart from the scare actors and a few small things which we'll get into in a second here. But with that basic introduction into what Fright Dome is and why it partnered with FNAF FNAF and became such a big deal, we must look into what was featured inside of the haunt to show you everything that has now most likely unfortunately become lost media. So let's take a look at the official summary for the event, which will help us understand what exactly was expected for visitors to experience and see in the haunted house. Fright Dome owner Jason Egan has teamed up with the creator of one of the most popular horror game franchises ever, Five Nights at Freddy's, to bring it to life this year. The infamous Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is closed for the nights, so guests can tour the unsuspecting eatery. But beware, characters like Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy have a tendency to wander the hallway and stalk visitors. Hopefully you'll make it out before morning. So clearly the attraction is based off of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and since it's based off of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, we obviously see many things from the franchise, such as the animatronics, arcade games, tables, party props, and basically everything that was featured in the first two games, with a few exceptions. A lot of this can be seen in that same walkthrough video that was posted online, but since I never actually went to the event myself, I obviously can't explain what everything was in that video, But luckily enough though, there's a full wiki page dedicated to the event, and they even have a giant section of it dedicated to describing what was seen at the event, and it goes as follows. Before entering the attraction, visitors would be greeted by an actor playing a security guard, who would make various quips about things such as safety, or lack thereof, in the establishment, or the murders that happened in the building. This security guard would then serve as a guide to the visitors throughout the attraction, making various comments about things such as power lost during the night, the various surroundings, and etc. At the entrance, a relatively rundown scene can be seen. Moss staining on walls, vines creeping down from the ceiling, and grunge-stained bricked walls. In the first room, this location/pizzeria is a vague representation of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza from the first Five Nights at Freddy's game. A seemingly deactivated Freddy is standing on the stage between two signs that say Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and Grand Reopening. Under the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza sign, there is a door, in the front and to the left. There is also a curtain left of the main door in the middle. Through the curtain is an office that vaguely represents the original first game's office. Though it has the monitors and drawings that the first game's office has, there are some noticeable differences. This office has the Freddy mask next to the door frame that leads to another hallway. If turning right at the intersection, there is a camera system, which does not function. Turning left, there is another curtain. Behind this curtain is the room mixed with the show stage and the dining area location, consisting of Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica on the stage. They all seem to be deactivated, except for Chica, since she is standing upright unlike the other two. To the left, there is a happy birthday banner, then to the right, there is a banner that says let's play, and under that there is a door. To the left of the door, there is another curtain. Behind the curtain, there is another hallway. Upon going through the curtain, there is a rules sign from the first game. Down the corridor, there are camera systems. After the hallway, there is another office. Then there is another curtain. Past that is what seems to be a backstage room. The mask of all the first game animatronic game can be found, along with a seemingly deactivated Chica suit and a headless pink animatronic that mildly resembles Bonnet standing up. After the room, there is another completely normal hallway, but it has a ball pit to the left. Moving ahead, there is a row of arcade machines, then a claw machine, and then another row of arcade machines. After that hallway, and passing through another curtain, there is a prize corner room. This prize corner has all of the first game's animatronic gang plushies, both small and big. Below, there are smaller merchandise products like key hangers, t-shirts, hats, and even a cupcake plushie. After another hallway, there is an empty pirate cove that leads to another hallway. After the corridor maze, there is a lit room, which is red. And when going down the hall, there are windows on the left side. Various actors portraying the grayed out and crying children seen in the games would bang on the windows and honk air horns at the visitors. At the end of this corridor would be a final actor portraying the puppet, who would deliver the final scare. Moving forward, there is an office that bears a more accurate resemblance to the one in the first game. Then, a black room with a huge 6 a.m. sign. And at the end, after the curtain, is the exit. The guard would then congratulate the visitors on surviving the night and send them on their way. Now, that was a lot to take in, and even in the walkthrough video, it doesn't show half of that stuff because a lot of it involves scare actors. But with that whole description of what was featured in the haunted house, well, that's a lot of stuff featured inside of it, meaning that there is a high chance that a lot of the props and decorations used for it are now missing or destroyed. According to Jason Egan himself, he said that the tile flooring for the attraction alone was 10 grand. So like, what would you do with that afterwards? I can't imagine you would just, throw it away. Then apparently there was a marionette at the attraction, even though no one has any footage of that. Apparently the outfit just consisted of an actor wearing a latex suit and mask. However, this may not be true though. Then apparently a Mr. Cupcake prop was also stolen from the set, meaning someone might still have it, but I doubt we'll know who that actually is. So with all of this being said, With the amount of time and effort and money put into this project, it's no wonder it was a complete success. They literally had billboards for the attraction in Vegas promoting the FNAF haunted house, and it was all over the internet at the time because the fans absolutely loved it. So it would make sense for them to do it again, right? Well, as I mentioned previously, a year after this event, Fright Dome unexpectedly closed after 15 years of operation. The official reason for its closure was not explicitly stated by Circus Circus or the Adventure Dome management, but most likely it was probably due to something like, I don't know, contract expirations, personal business decisions, or maybe just like operational challenges. To be honest, no one knows, but that's what I would expect. So after Fright Dome closed down, this legendary Five Nights at Freddy's haunted house unfortunately began to slowly fade into obscurity as the years went on, and most fans completely forgot about its existence. But that was until 2022, when the very popular Five Nights at Freddy's cosplayer and YouTuber The Regular Sauce made a video regarding it. In his video, he talks about basically everything I've talked about in this video so far, like the origins of Fright Dome, how they partnered with FNAF, and what was in the haunted house and so on. But that was until the end of his video, where Sauce begins to talk about how there was an interview with Jason Egan back in 2016, where Jason mentions that he still has some of the props from the attraction. But then Sauce mentions that most of the other props that Jason didn't have in his possession were probably just sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
But we do know where a couple of the suits are, though. In an interview with Jason from around the time period of Fright Dome 2016, we can see an original Freddy and Bonnie suit still intact in his house. So we can only assume the whereabouts of the remnants of the attraction are still either intact somewhere with Jason or in a warehouse somewhere.
And unfortunately, due to the size of the haunted house, Jason definitely does not have everything from it, meaning that a lot of it is still missing. Is it? Well, fortunately, Sauce actually has a replica of the Freddy suit from the same company that made the rest of the animatronic suits for the event, meaning he owns one of the rarest pieces of Five Nights at Freddy's merch ever made. Even more shocking is as years have passed, this suit has become even more rare as the company's SoCan Land has gone out of business, meaning you can't even get these suits anymore. But if that wasn't exciting enough, Sauce was actually able to interview Jason regarding the haunted house. And during his interview with Jason, Jason mentioned that he would give away some merchandise from Fright Dome to Sauce to keep and collect. So I looked through some of his socials and couldn't find any posts or mentions of any of the merchandise he was supposed to get from Jason. So I knew that I had to get in contact with him about it, as he may be in possession of some more extremely rare merchandise that is considered lost media. So that's exactly what I did. Luckily, I had his contact information already, so all I did was shoot him a text asking if he could send me photos of the merchandise he received from Jason, and then I waited. But unfortunately, he never actually received any merchandise from Fright Dome, as Jason never sent anything. Unfortunately, Jason was probably just super busy and forgot to send him anything, but luckily Sauce still has that official replica of the Freddy suit, which he is taking very good care of. So with all of this being said, we still don't really know where any of the Fright Dome props are. Sure, Jason has some things from the event, but what about everything else? For all we know, it could literally be in a warehouse somewhere, just like what Sauce said in his video. Since we hit a dead end, I attempted to reach out to Jason himself to see if he could help answer some questions regarding the haunted house and what happened to everything, but so far he hasn't responded back to me. So since we were at a dead end, I knew I had to get some help. So that's when I started asking around, and that's when I had a light bulb pop in my head. I actually knew a few content creators from the Las Vegas area, and since that's where Fright Dome was held, I decided to start asking them for help, and to see if they knew anything about Fright Dome. And after a very long search, I luckily found someone who knew all the answers regarding what happened to the Five Nights at Freddy's Fright Dome haunted house 8 years after its closure.
Right, it's me, Foxy. Nope, it's me, Ugo's Pizzeria. And
Oh my god.
And I was lucky enough to see Five Nights at Freddy's Fright Dome, not when it was open, back in 2016. So I never saw it in person. I never got the walkthrough. I was not one of the lucky people who got to see the real working animatronics, but I was lucky enough to see basically the entire location all dismantled and destroyed and taken down, but I still got to see it back like 2 years ago. So basically how it happened is my parents took me to this really cool small business that just opened, which this guy opened. It was a horror-themed pizza restaurant, which was really cool. And I was like, oh, horror-themed pizza restaurant, it's gonna be FNAF. It wasn't FNAF. And they had a little arcade set up, a couple like old scary arcade machines, and they just had a claw machine sitting there. And I'm like, oh, claw machines are cool. I'll go play the claw machine. And I look in the claw machine, and the year is like 2022, maybe 2023, and literally the entire claw machine is completely full of sealed, untouched 2016 FNAF merch. Like literally sealed Funko plushies, a ton of sealed Just Toys merch, the ugly ass keychain danglers. They had all the cards in there. They had all of of even the Mymoji heads. They had like all the good stuff plushies full of everything with tags and everything. So I'm like, oh my god, I need this. So I put probably like $100 into this claw machine. Like I was sitting at that claw machine for nearly like 2 hours, clearing out every single piece of old 2016 FNAF merch because it was sitting there in a claw machine, and it wasn't rigged too. Like I was picking up stuff every try, and it was just a small locally owned pizza shop. So the owner comes out, and he was really nice. His name is and he was really nice, and he comes over, and he was kind of like an older dude, you know. He seemed nice. He came over like, hey kid, couldn't help but notice you over here. You seem to be a big Five Nights at Freddy's fan. And I go, oh yeah, I am, and I'm wearing my dumbass little Freddy Fazbear shirt, and I go, oh, I am, and I was like 16 probably, and I was standing there like arms full of Five Nights at Freddy's merch, and yeah, I was enjoying myself, and like he probably knows because I was there for like well over an hour just sitting there getting FNAF items from a claw machine, and he's like, got a little surprise in the back if you want to just follow me back here, huh? And I go, oh, little FNAF related surprise where I follow the owner of a pizza restaurant into the back room of a horror themed pizza attraction. Where have I heard that before, huh? So he takes me back there, and it's really cool. There was like this tiny little pizza restaurant and this giant warehouse right behind it. Like I didn't know if he also owned the giant warehouse. I guess he did, and it was massive. It was like right next to the. And this giant warehouse was literally massive. But this was better than any FNAF item I could have been given. Like, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Like, he flicked on the lights in this warehouse, and the entire thing was just like the dismantled FNAF Fright Dome attraction. And I was like, how the fuck did you get this? Because this, like, up until this point, there's been maybe like 2 photos that existed online, and I asked him about this. I'm like, where did this photo come from? Because that's what I was seeing. Like, this was the exact thing that I was seeing. The FNAF costumes were in these giant clear trash bags. You can see them hung up on the wall. Some were just sitting there dismantled, like this Freddy was missing his eye. And I was like, where did you get, like, this photo, this is what I'm seeing, where's this from? And that photo was taken by the guy's son, because the son was also like part-time employed at the pizza restaurant, because it was just a family-owned business. So he just thought it'd be cool to go back there and like take a photo. And of course, right when I get back there, I'm like, oh my god, and I whip my phone out. He's like, oh no, god, son, put that away. And I was like, oh, it's like he like yelled at me, and I was like, oh sorry. And he did not want me taking any photos, like didn't even want anyone to know about it. That's why it has to be secretive. I can't tell you the name of the place or the name of the guy, because he was the guy who basically built the entire location. But this guy who owned the horror-themed pizza restaurant, he was like the main kind of designer of stuff and the main construction guy who helped build and make everything. And he told me that when Jason Egan's like, we're doing FNAF, like he's a little bit of an old-timer, and he had no idea what the hell a Freddy Faz, a FNAF bear was. He didn't know what that was. That's why some of the stuff just doesn't make sense in the FNAF location. That's why there's an outside of the location and Freddy Fazbear is standing on the outside of the pizzeria. And that's why there's a ball pit when there is no FNAF ball pit. And that's why there's a FNAF rows of arcade machines when that doesn't really exist. And that's why at the end of the FNAF 1 location, you walk into the FNAF 2 office. And just a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense, because this guy was just kind of looking up like Markiplier videos and images on the internet. And he was just kind of thinking of Chuck E. Cheese's, because Jason Egan's like, oh, it's just kind of a scary Chuck E. Cheese. He's like, they have ball pits and arcades, and he probably just looked up FNAF office, and that's why he has the FNAF 1 office and the FNAF 2 office in there, because he was just building it. From what he told me, is he was the main kind of designer construction guy on it. And the reason why he kind of had everything in that back warehouse is because when it was over, they obviously have to take everything down and scrap it. And obviously Scott Cawthon didn't want it because the suits are shitty, and he doesn't want to keep that. Jason didn't want it because he probably keeps a lot of sets, and that's just, he doesn't need another one. He doesn't need the whole FNAF location. So, because was kind of like the third guy in the line, he's like, yeah, sure, give it to me. you know, because he just kind of put so much work into it, and that's why and that's why the suits are kind of crappy, because he just kind of found the first cheap costume maker who could just kind of pump him out quickly. That's why they're not really accurate or look good, because the images he sent them, which I asked him about, the images he sent them is they're all based off those ugly Splinks models. They're not based off those crappy like 2014 ones. That's why they look weird. That's why Bonnie is like a pinkish. That's why Freddy looks fat. And that's why Foxy's like bright orange and has a giant eye and he's like gleaming orange, is because they were kind of based off those, because the guy kind of constructing them, which I think is kind of funny, he just didn't know much. And it was really cool because back there everything was just kind of in sections. Like in this little photo, that's really the only photo of what currently that photo and one random Foxy that's on a mannequin that like you may have the photo of. So basically everything he had back there was so cool, because there was literally like some things that you can't see in that one walkthrough video, because that's basically it. They didn't let you record anything in 2016, so there was like no footage of the Foxy costume besides that one photo of him just in a corner, and there's like no footage of like if there was a Golden Freddy or if there was a puppet. It's rumored that there was, and I have to say I'm like 50% sure that I saw a Golden Freddy back there. It was hard to tell because it was just a giant golden costume in a sack hanging on a wall. So there's 50% chance it could have been Chica, because they used like the exact same golden material. But there is also this photo of Golden Freddy dressed up like Fredbear. So it literally could have been that. I have no idea, but I know Foxy was real because there was just a Foxy suit just back there. It looks like it was the decayed one that was in the little like weird parts and service area. But there was things back there that I didn't even know were in the location, like in the walkthrough. Like there was so much more merch that was back there that wasn't in that one walkthrough, because they ended up decking out the prize counter more and putting up more merch. So that's why all that merch was in the claw machine, because that was all the Just Toys and Good Stuff plushies and Funko stuff. They bought all that to put in the location, and when the location was done, took it because it's perfectly good FNAF merch, and he just sat on it for years until he opened up his horror-themed pizza restaurant, and then he just put it all in the claw machine. Now, the majority of the actual location is not there. It's not like he has in a warehouse the perfectly completed walkthrough of everything. Like, that doesn't exist, and it won't exist ever again, because he had some of the cool stuff. He had some of the walls. None of the arcade machines, they were all taken down. The claw machine in his horror-themed pizza restaurant might have been the claw machine they had inside the location. I don't know, I didn't ask, but it kind of looked the same. He kept some things, like he kept some props. He obviously kept a majority of the costumes. He kept all the merch. He kept some ball pit balls. Basically the things he could take, he kept, which was really cool. But the actual location isn't coming back, and I got to ask him a lot about this, and it's never coming back, especially since he was the main builder and designer. It's like, hey, because he showed me all of it like the year before the FNAF movie came out. So I'm like, hey, you know, FNAF movie's coming out. Why don't you do it again? And basically, he's, at least himself, he's never gonna be a part of it ever again. He's never even gonna do anything Five Nights at Freddy's. He literally has a horror-themed pizza restaurant, and he said that he's not like, he has the costumes in the back of it. He doesn't even want to put them in mannequins, doesn't want anything to do with Five Nights at Freddy's at all, because he said when building it and designing it and other things like that, like the legal issues were so, like, such a pain in the ass, like such a hell to go through, that he said, because he's designed a bunch of other haunted houses, that the Five Nights at Freddy, just the legal issues alone with the Five Nights at Freddy's haunted houses and getting licenses and talking to Scott Cawthon and getting the merchandise for it and making the costumes, making sure it's all done correctly and all this other stuff, was, he said it was like 10 times harder, if not more, than any other haunted house he's ever made, where he never wants to be a part of anything Five Nights at Freddy's again. That's why he won't even let me take a photo. He's been so traumatized by the legal issues of Five Nights at Freddy's, he doesn't even want a photo back there. So he could have taken multiple FNAF fans back there and shown them that awesome back room, and no one's allowed to take a photo besides his son, who took a sneaky photo probably because he works there, ever, of this, because the legal issues were so horrible. So he's never gonna make it again. So this FNAF Fright Dome location is gonna sit to rot in the back of that room forever, never gonna see the light of day. He doesn't even want to auction them off, because selling those suits for profit would definitely mess with something legal. So they're gonna sit there literally forever. No one is ever gonna have, unless Jason himself asks for the items, which he probably won't because it was like 8 years ago. They're going to sit there forever, and unless you're a lucky fan who he takes back there and you get to rip a glued Freddy Fazbear out of a cardboard box, you're never going to get anything ever again.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Pieces of the Five Nights at Freddy's Fright Dome still exist, but will unfortunately most likely remain lost media for years to come, unless the pizzeria undergoes new management or something drastic happens to where the warehouse needs to start selling off props or something. Puggos' claims and story matches a lot with what Sauce said about where the props are most likely currently at, with that being in a warehouse. So after this call, I had to ask and see if Puggos had proof of this claw machine and proof of the pizzeria being real, and crazily enough, all of it was. Even from his details to the clear plastic bags on the walls and the withered Freddy suit, it's all seen in this image, meaning his story is 100% real. Even for the wiki page for FNAF Fright Dome, the same image can be seen, where it says it was taken in 2022, the same time Puggos visited the warehouse. I mean, I know some of you guys won't believe Puggos, Sauce, or even me, but even though I can't say for privacy reasons where this pizzeria is, or who the owner is, or anything that can give away the location, I can 100% say that this is where Fright Dome is now currently located, and it still exists. As a quick disclaimer, please do not plan on looking for it, and please do not try finding the location or bothering the owner. As Puggos said, they don't want anything to do with Five Nights at Freddy's anymore, and I'm sure that he doesn't want people nagging him about the old props or Fright Dome in general. So the only hope we have to ever see these props ever again are if I can get in contact with Jason Egan, or if the owner has a change of heart and decides to post pictures online. Luckily for me though, I was able to find one never before seen image of a full body Foxy suit with a Chica hand equipped that has never been seen before. I don't really know how or why it's got Chica hand, but it's real. And where did I get this image? Well, I can't tell you, but I will tell you that it is real, so you guys better put this on the wiki because you're not going to see this image anywhere else. The picture's from Sauce, that's where I got it from. The regular Sauce sent it to me. These are the first real-life FNAF animatronics ever made, created by the YouTuber Dr. Creepypasta back in 2015. But as the years passed, he stopped posting on his YouTube channel and stopped giving updates regarding his animatronics until almost 10 years later, when in 2023, they miraculously appeared on Facebook Marketplace. For as quick as they reappeared, they then again disappeared, where they have never been seen ever since. So that brings me to ask the question, what happened to them? Who now owns them? Do they still work, and do they still even exist? Well, luckily I have all of those answers. So with all that being said, my name is Gavin Gone, and let's go over the story behind all of these animatronics and what happened to them. FNAF has existed for over a decade now, and within that decade, we finally got the release of the FNAF movie just last year, where we finally got to see the FNAF animatronics in real life on the big screen for the first time ever. But leading up to the release of the FNAF movie, we got to see many behind the scenes looks at the actual animatronics themselves, and got to see all the work it took to create and bring these iconic characters to life. Even now, with the second FNAF movie being in development, we are still getting tons of behind the scenes looks of how these animatronics are being made and how they are adapted to the big screen. But even though these characters are all being made by Jim Henson's Creature Shop, the same people behind the Muppets and Deadmau5's iconic helmet, they aren't the only ones creating real life versions of these animatronics, because before the movie started development in 2023, we still got fan-made versions of the characters instead, with many FNAF fans creating their own custom FNAF props, cosplays, and even fully functioning animatronics based on the characters from the games. But ever since FNAF became popular, fans have always made things relating to the games in real life, but as years have passed, many new and more popular cosplayers have started to take over the scene, with arguably one of the hottest and fastest growing people in that niche being Withered Creations. Withered is most well known for his Withered animatronics cosplays and his Withered Bonnie cosplay, which was actually featured at PAX West 2024 this year and won an award for one of the scariest cosplays at the event. But even though his real life FNAF cosplays are absolutely amazing and look like they were taken right out of the FNAF games, his talent just goes to show how far the community has gotten and how far the franchise has played a role in people's lives. But it wasn't always like this, because he wasn't the first person to create a real life FNAF animatronic, and he, along with every other person in the community, wasn't the first to start this trend, because that person was Dr. Creepypasta. Now, I'm sure many of you are asking, well, who is Dr. Creepypasta and why haven't I heard of him if he made the first real-life FNAF animatronics? Well, there's a couple reasons for that. Dr. Creepypasta is a YouTuber whose YouTube account was made in 2014 and was a creepypasta narrating channel. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of official information regarding his channel nowadays, but even after he abandoned his channel, we can still make a lot of sense regarding his content along with many other things. It's assumed that many of his early videos have been deleted, as his first ever video isn't actually about creepypasta, but instead FNAF. His channel was mainly focused on the animatronics he created, as almost every video is some sort of footage showing them off to certain capacities. So while many of his videos are about his FNAF animatronics and not much else, there are a few videos different than those, with those being some actual creepypasta narrations and a few gameplay videos of FNAF. But with these different style videos being some of the last pieces of content ever posted onto his channel, it is assumed that he either got bored of posting or just gave up, but no one really knows. Because then in 2017, he officially disappeared from YouTube and hasn't posted since or given us an update on why he left. But even though he left YouTube all of those years ago, he still kept up his channel for his audience to view, meaning that many, if not all of his videos are still up on YouTube and are available to watch to this day. So with this being said, this means that all of his videos regarding his real life FNAF animatronics are still up on his channel, even his first one ever made, with that being his real Freddy Fazbear video posted back in 2015.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm thrilled to welcome you to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Hey, you want me Barney the Bunny, Chicken and Chicken, Foxy the Pirate Fox, and of course yours truly. You'll enjoy a wide selection of games and activities, but the main attraction is our tasty pizza. Oh, the little ones just love our pizza. It's to die for. Now hold on tight, 'cause it's after hours, and you're in for one hell of an adventure.
Now, even though the quality of the video and its audio isn't the best, you can still see how insanely well put together this whole animatronic is, with it having fully functioning arms, eyes, eyebrows, and even glowing eyes, along with a top hat that jumps and a bow tie that spins around. For 2015, and even for now, this is extremely impressive, even if it isn't one-to-one with how Freddy actually looks in the game. Even though the animatronic is very limited in what it can do and what it can perform, it still is able to display a wide range of emotion when it's activated, which is able to be seen in way more of Dr. Creepypasta's other videos featuring the animatronic. In some of these other videos, Freddy can be seen doing tons of different things, such as singing the Living Tombstones FNAF 1 song and recreating the FNAF 1 power outage, and tons more. But shortly after he posted his first couple of videos featuring Freddy doing all these various things, Dr. Creepypasta then made a completely different video compared to the rest, called Sneak Peek, where, well, I'll just show you. In this video, he shows off the endoskeleton frames of a prototype Springtrap, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, which all look very impressive for the time. After looking back on these animatronics, I will say that their frames needed to be extended so they had a longer torso to fit their body size more, but apart from that, they are still fairly solid looking. But in typical Dr. Creepypasta fashion, right after this video was posted, Dr. Creepypasta posted another video, with it being his most popular and viewed video to date, titled The Five Nights at Freddy's Band First Look, where he shows off all of the animatronics in their finished states. In this video, he shows off a full recreation of the FNAF 1 stage, along with a recreation of Pirate's Cove, all accompanied by the animatronics, and shows off all of the animatronics very quickly in the video. But in subsequent uploads, he shows off each of the new animatronics more in depth, where you can see them all in action and performing on camera. But even with how quickly they were shown off, you can tell that all of these animatronics appear to be made out of paper mache or some sort of fabric, and in my personal opinion, look way more rushed compared to how Freddy does, as their bodies are way more boxy, stubby, and just less polished compared to how Freddy's is. The reason for this is probably because he wanted to get them done as soon as possible for his audience, but no one knows, as it was never properly stated why they look so rushed compared to Freddy. But if you look past all of these animatronics flaws and look strictly into the engineering behind these animatronics, you'll realize that they work just as intended and can perform really well, even if they are ugly. Now, these videos were some of his last uploads made on the channel, as after these showcase videos were posted, he started posting creepypasta narrations instead of content on his animatronics. But as I mentioned earlier, after he posted his creepypasta narrations, he stopped and went back to FNAF content such as FNAF gameplay videos, videos about his animatronics again, and because of this, his channel hit 80,000 subscribers and was steadily gaining views along with subscribers. Things were starting to look up for Dr. Creepypasta, as he now gained tons of success from posting his FNAF animatronic videos and started to do good again after his brief time away from posting FNAF content. But as I mentioned earlier as well, it was around this time when he randomly stopped posting and ultimately disappeared off of the internet as a whole, and he hasn't posted on YouTube in 6 years, meaning we never saw any more content regarding these animatronics ever again. But that was until 2023, when a listing on Facebook Marketplace came up out of nowhere, where all 5 of these animatronics were available for purchase for a whopping $50,000. Now, this is where information gets a little blurry and all over the place, as not many people documented what happened to Dr. Creepypasta and his animatronics after he left YouTube, so let me try to recap a little bit. Supposedly before this listing came up on Facebook, there was another listing on Craigslist around the same time, where again, these animatronics were available for purchase, and the listing was priced for $25,000 instead of $50,000. But supposedly these never sold and were taken off of Craigslist shortly after being listed, where they were then again put on Facebook. But that's until I started to research a little bit more into each of the listings, and when I did that, I discovered the person behind the Facebook Marketplace listing, with that being of a man named Richard Malouf. Apologies if I'm pronouncing the last name wrong. Now, there are no saved screenshots of this Facebook account, but I did stumble upon multiple different comments online claiming that this was the person that made the Facebook listing. So as I continued the research, this is where the story gets crazy, because Richard Malouf is actually a super successful and semi-famous entrepreneur who created and founded the All Smiles Dental Clinics company, which has hundreds of locations around the US, and because of this company, he is now the richest dentist in Texas. But even crazier is that his kids, the one of which being his daughter, was actually a part of Team 10. Yes, like Jake Paul's Team 10 in 2016, and is also a singer, who you may know as Sonny Malouf. Then Richard also has 2 more kids, including his son Gavin Malouf and Richie Malouf, both of which are semi-successful in their own accords, with Gavin being a semi-popular basketball player and Richie being a high-standing law student and a reporter. Now you might be asking, so how did he get in contact with these animatronics and why did he sell them? Well, to be honest, no one knows, but we can assume that he probably was given them somehow or bought them from the Craigslist listing. If he was given them or bought them before the Craigslist listing, then the reason he owned them was probably because one of his kids wanted to have them, so he bought them for his kids and then attempted to sell them as they got older. I mean, his daughter was in Team 10 in like 2016, and Richard was extremely rich, so they had money to buy anything they wanted. And if you don't believe me, then here are some images and videos of the water park he built for his kids in his backyard. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of his kids just asked for the animatronics and then Richard reached out to Dr. Creepypasta to buy them. But again, who knows, this is all just me speculating. But on the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised because this full-fledged water park actually has a lazy river that goes through a little haunted cave that has fully functioning animatronics that cost Richard about $10 million to get installed. And as you can see in the video, there is multiple of them. So again, I would not be surprised if one of his kids just wanted the animatronics. And after seeing this video, maybe Richard wanted the animatronics for himself and then had to sell later on. But yet again, I have no clue. But the more and more I keep researching into this, the more and more it looks like that's the case. Then why did he attempt to sell them around a year later after buying them? I mean, all of his kids would have been grown up by now, so he wouldn't really have a reason to buy these animatronics, unless he has another kid that is way younger that just no one really knows about. Well, as I continued the research, guess what? The story got even crazier, because a couple years ago in 2020, he was sued for over $16.5 million in violations regarding his company, which filed for bankruptcy in 2013 because of different issues relating to fraud. But again, earlier this year, sometime before the Facebook Marketplace listing, Richard again went to court to overturn the court's ruling for the $16.5 million penalty that was imposed upon him in 2020. The reason I bring all of this up is because, first of all, it's just very crazy how everything connects. And second of all, I bet that he had to sell these animatronics to probably pay for legal fees regarding this, or just needed money for lawyers and so on. Or maybe not. Again, this is all just me speculating. You can put your thoughts down in the comments, but this is what I think happened. So with all this being said, the only way we'll ever be able to figure out if these animatronics sold or not would be if we contacted Myuu or one of his kids to see what happened. But again, that's if we'd ever get a response. So ever since that listing, these animatronics haven't been seen since. Now, no one actually knows where they are now, as no one knows if they were bought, and no collector has gotten their hands on them, so no one's posted about it ever since. So personally, I think that Myuu might still have them, since they were listed twice around the same time, and probably didn't sell either time. I feel like if they did sell originally, and was given new ownership before Myuu, we would have seen these animatronics be posted online already. But since that never happened, and since Myuu now has ownership of them, or maybe he doesn't anymore, I guess we'll never know what happened to them because no one's posted if they got in the animatronics or not. So I didn't know where I wanted to put this in the video, but I wanted to include it just because I feel like it was necessary for this whole video. So I'm just gonna put this segment right here because I don't know where else to put it. But there's actually some more information regarding these animatronics that literally no one seems to know, as it has just come out this year. Recently, it was discovered that Dr. Creepypasta probably didn't make these animatronics like how previously thought. Within the past year, a YouTube channel called Scare Factory 1 was found, where they actually posted a behind the scenes video in 2015 of the exact same Freddy animatronic that Dr. Creepypasta owned, where it was stripped down to its endoskeleton and performed normally on video. Now, this doesn't 100% confirm that Dr. Creepypasta didn't make the animatronic, but after looking at this video, the background looks to be in a warehouse and not a normal house like Dr. Creepypasta's videos were made in, which points to it probably not being his animatronic. Then when looking through the whole YouTube channel, all they posted when they were active was Halloween animatronics, meaning they probably made it. But if you look at the quality of this Freddy animatronic compared to everything else posted on their channel, it's very low quality and doesn't match the build quality of any of their other animatronics. I mean, look at this video of this grizzly bear animatronic they made and tell me this isn't like 100 times better than the Freddy one. Now again, I have no clue if this YouTube channel or the company behind it actually created the Freddy or what. Then there might be more of these animatronics floating around there somewhere, since these might have been made whenever an order for one was placed. But again, as I said, I have no clue if this is true or not, as I am just speculating. This is the only video footage we have of the cancelled FNAF Dark Ride that was presented to us as a concept in 2016, with it showing us a small recreation of Foxy inside of Pirates Cove. But this wasn't all that was going to be featured in this Dark Ride, because along with this Pirates Cove concept, there are also many pieces of concept art showing us what the ride was going to include, with some of that being the FNAF 1, 2, and 3 characters, along with the pizzeria and so much more. But why did this amazing concept for a FNAF ride get cancelled? Are the props for this ride still out there? Who was going to make it? And most importantly, will we ever get to see anything like this ever come out? Well, I will be answering all of these questions and more in this video, along with telling you how we can still bring this ride back to life, because even though it is cancelled for now, we might be able to change that. Anyways, my name is Gavin Gone, and let's look into the infamous FNAF Dark Ride that many people don't know about that was cancelled all those years ago. Now, theme parks, roller coasters, rides, or whatever you want to call them have existed for decades at this point, with some of the first roller coasters being made over a century ago at this point. So over the years, many new versions of these said rides started to be made, with one of the most popular ones being called a dark ride. A dark ride is a theme park ride that transports passengers through a series of scenes in an enclosed area, with various different rooms, themes, and even stories that can be seen throughout. The term dark comes from the early days of dark rides, when black lights and controlled lighting were used to create the illusion of darkness and so on. There are tons of different dark rides that exist today, enough to the point where you've probably visited some in your lifetime, whether it be one at a major theme park or one at a local pop-up carnival or fair near you. Some of the most popular and high quality dark rides ever made are featured at Disneyland, Universal Studios, or other high standing amusement parks, and the reason many of these dark rides at these specific locations are considered the best are because of the fact they are based off of pre-existing IPs, such such as Harry Potter, Star Wars, Marvel, and so on. Being able to be immersed in your favorite character's universe and see all the unique scenes, props, and so on from said character's universe is one of the main reasons many people find these types of rides enjoyable, because you don't get that sort of experience on a normal roller coaster or a ride. Because unlike watching a movie or something, these dark rides completely immerse you during the experience. When I was a kid, I went to Kings Island, where they had a Scooby-Doo themed dark ride, which was one of the only Scooby-Doo themed ones in the world at that time. But it was truly an experience I will never forget. Plus, with me being an avid fan of the franchise at that time, imagine the sort of memories that would create from experiencing a ride like that. I would love to make a video about the ride itself along with the experience, as it was phenomenal and only one of these rides exists in the world now, as all the other ones closed down. So if you guys would want to see a video on this ride because it's just completely awesome, please let me know, because I think if you enjoy this video, you'll enjoy one on that ride too. Anyways, you might be asking, well, if there's so many of these rides, then, well, who creates them? And, well, that's a good question. You see, with the amount of rides that exist all across the globe, not just one company or group can create all these highly detailed rides. So many companies exist that specialize with the creation of dark rides and animatronics for them, with the people behind the Scooby-Doo ride and concept for the FNAF Dark Ride being Sally Dark Rides, also known as Sally Corporation. Sally Corporation is a well-known American company specializing in the design and manufacturing of animatronics, dark rides, and interactive attractions for theme parks, family entertainment centers, and museums. Founded in 1977 in Jacksonville, Florida by John Wood and John Fox, the company began as a producer of animatronic characters for retail and promotional use. But over the years, Sally Corp evolved into a leader in the themed entertainment industry. Sally Corp is renowned for its high-quality animatronics that range from lifelike human figures to fantasy-like creatures. These animatronics are featured in various themed attractions across the world, often providing immersive storytelling and interactive experiences that make the rides memorable. The other core focus of the company is obviously their dark rides. Sally Corp specializes in both traditional and interactive dark rides, where guests can engage with the story through laser blasters or similar mechanisms depending on the ride. But then beyond their rides and animatronics, they also design entire themed experiences, including walkthrough exhibits, museum displays, and even haunted attractions. With all this experience and the amount of craftsmanship Sally Corp has proven to have, it's no wonder that in 2016, it was announced that Sally Corp owned the rights to build a FNAF Dark Ride. The quality of their animatronics and rides would blend together seamlessly into a FNAF-themed horror attraction, especially since they specialized in many horror-themed dark rides, and even haunted houses over the years. But if you don't think they'd be cut out for the daunting task of remaking FNAF into a dark ride, then let's look at the only pieces of video footage that exist of it, along with some of their concept art and much more that was forgotten due to time. As mentioned in the intro, this video is some of the only footage we have of the FNAF Dark Ride, which was taken at the 2016 IAAPA, better known as the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions Expo, where we can see a small booth themed as Pirates Cove, with a FNAF sign above it with the 4 main animatronics. Then looking inside of Pirates Cove, we see a FNAF 1 version of Foxy behind the curtains, where he then subsequently jump scares the person holding the camera before the curtain closes. Now this concept doesn't show us too much, but does show us one of the scenes that would have been featured in the full FNAF Dark Ride, with that being a Pirates Cove area. There's also another video where we can see the same concept, but with there being Funko plushies of the FNAF animatronics on the stage where Pirates Cove is being held, which was probably put there as the Foxy animatronic is based off of the Funko action figure version of the character instead of the version seen in game. But again, this is just a concept, so the final version could look way more game accurate, which would probably be the case as almost all of Sally Corp's dark rides look extremely accurate to the IP they are portraying. The reason why I believe this is because the event also showed off many pieces of concept artwork, which featured way more scenes, characters, props, and so much more that are absolutely insane to imagine seeing in real life. Now going over each of these concept images, we look at the first one, with that being a way more in-depth look at what Foxy would have done and or looked like, with him actually reaching out to the guests in the cart for the ride. We also get a more accurate rendition of the Pirates Cove area, along with a better look at Foxy, where he looks way more realistic and accurate compared to the Funko one they made for the concept. Then there's this artwork of the queue for the ride, where we can see a lot of different things, with notably the most eye-catching being the carts, the FNAF 1 office setting, and the purple guy letting the guest into the carts. The office is a one-to-one recreation with the actual FNAF 1 office, with it having the same scenery and decorations. We can even see the door and light buttons, where we can also for some reason see a mouse cursor on it. I don't know why that's there, but anyways. Then next to those, there's a clock and day counter above the right door. But going through the doors are the security carts, which are, well, carts for the guests to ride in, obviously, during the experience. These carts have 4 dirtied seats and even a steering wheel for the driver, while the exterior of the carts have the company logo on them, along with various bloodstains, grime, and so on. These carts also have more features that make the riding experience even crazier, but we'll get to those in a little bit here. Then the last thing primarily featured in this image are the guests in line for the attraction, but other than that, there's not much else to look at. The next piece of artwork is my personal favorite, as it shows the actual pizzeria, where we can see again a purple looking guy standing outside near the door waiting to let in guests to the building. If we also look closer, we can see where the queue for the line would be at, with it being along the front window of the building, as you can see guests right there. Now, I'm sure the sky wouldn't be red unless, they built some enclosed area for this, which I doubt. I don't think they would do that. But they could probably add some of the trees shown in the artwork next to the attraction for more ambience. Then the next piece of artwork shows us a ball pit where we can see a group of people shining flashlights at Withered Bonnie. Now, from the looks of it, this attraction looks like it would include scenes and characters from FNAF 1 to 3, and you'll see what I mean by that in a little bit here. But regardless, this iteration of the FNAF pizzeria seems to be based on the FNAF 1 pizzeria, even though this version of it could be a completely different rendition of the FNAF universe's pizzeria as we know it, because in more screenshots you'll see some FNAF 1 to 3 locations and even more characters, pointing to us that everything from those games are meshed together into this one pizzeria. This would be pretty interesting to see in person, as it would make for a very unique experience unlike anything we've ever seen before. The next piece of concept art shows us Springtrap jump scaring 2 guests while pizza boxes look to be falling onto them. This image, along with one more, is the reason I believe this attraction to be a unique take on the pizzeria, or the reason I believe it to be based on the first 3 games. But looking deeper into this image, we see a ton of Freddy Fazbear's pizza boxes along with the Funko Freddy plush. Then we can also see some FNAF 3 posters on the wall, which is interesting, but would make sense if they are trying to mesh together all 3 games. The next piece of concept art shows us the puppet jumping out of an arcade machine, jump scaring the passenger of the cart. This image shows off many arcade machines, along with more FNAF 3 posters on the wall. But if we look closer at the arcade machines, we can actually see Sally Corp's logo, along with more logos of other rides they have made previously, which is a cool little Easter egg. Who knows if they'd actually add it into the ride, or if it was just for the concept art, but regardless, I think it's cool and I thought it would be cool to mention it. Then we have the final piece of concept art, which shows us a group of riders shining their flashlights at all 4 of the main animatronics on the main stage. Not much to say about this image. I mean, you can just look at it, it's terrifying. Even the cupcake looks creepy, mainly because it's a different design compared to how it looks in game, but you get the point, it's awesome. But if you think all of this insane concept art wasn't enough to show us what the ride had in store for its guests, then you'd be wrong, because Sally Corp gave an official statement about the ride itself and the FNAF franchise as a whole, where they said this: "New dark ride concept based on the wildly popular video game Five Nights at Freddy's. Jacksonville, Florida. Sally Corporation, the dark ride specialist, recently introduced an all-new interactive dark ride concept theme to one of the world's hottest IPs at the International Amusement Parks and Attractions Expo held in Orlando, Florida, November 15th through the 18th. Five Nights at Freddy's is a wildly popular series of intense thriller video games designed by Scott Cawthon. First released in 2014, it quickly rose to the top of iOS and Android app stores and now has over 10 million paid downloads worldwide and over 16 billion YouTube views. It is also currently one of the top selling entertainment brands in retail and toy distribution and has a novel on the New York Times bestsellers list. Like the game, this interactive dark ride centers on a fictional pizza restaurant called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where the riders must act as night security guards. Their mission is to defend themselves from the malfunctioning animatronic animal characters that roam the restaurant at night and try to stay alive until 6 AM. Their only weapons are flashlights, which scare the robots away, and the ability to shut doors, which, as I mentioned earlier, this is the extra feature the carts would have had, as they would have had buttons inside the carts to close more doors. Sometimes your team survives till morning, sometimes they don't. That's right, there are multiple endings to this frightfully fun dark ride. Five Nights at Freddy's The Ride is designed to be a real-time multiplayer version of the popular video game, Five Nights at Freddy's. This dark ride mixes gaming, animatronics, large-scale video projection, special effects, and immersive sets and scenery. Fans will feel as if they have stepped inside of a life-size version of their favorite video game, as custom ride vehicles take them through a variety of scenes, both virtual and practical. I've always felt that Five Nights at Freddy's would make an amazing dark ride, and Sally is the perfect company to make that happen, says Scott Cawthon, creator of Five Nights at Freddy's. Sally has a long history of working with well-known brands and intellectual properties. Our experience with Looney Tunes, Scooby-Doo, and LEGO have taught us how to work with major licensors, which have saved our clients many headaches. Now we're working with bigger names than ever, AMC, DC Comics, and now the incredibly popular Five Nights at Freddy's. We're able to bring these brands to life in ways that has never been done before, says Sally's marketing director, Lauren Wood Weaver. Turning brands into blockbuster attractions has been our specialty for many years, and we can't wait to do the same for Five Nights at Freddy's The Ride. Now this statement tells us a lot about the ride and how the FNAF universe would be portrayed for it. But before we look at everything said in this statement, there is still more information about this attraction that was given out to people at the IAAPA Expo event. Because if you visited the Sally Corp booth, you could pick up one of these pamphlets that gave away more information regarding the ride. These small pamphlets included the concept art with all 4 animatronics on the front of it, where it says Five Nights at Freddy's The Ride. New dark ride concept based on the popular video game. Your kids will freak. Then when turned over, it says this. Use your light to survive the night. This interactive dark ride is designed to be a real-time multiplayer version of the wildly popular video game Five Nights at Freddy's. Experience what it's like to work with security at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where riders must defend themselves from the malfunctioning animatronics and stay alive for 5 nights. Our only weapons are our flashlights, which scare the robots away. Conserve that battery power. You don't want to be left in the dark. Now, this sounds awesome. It looks like you'd get to survive all 5 nights if you and your group actually fend off the animatronics. So this dark ride would actually be a real-life FNAF experience compared to just a normal ride. Like you would genuinely be playing FNAF in real life during this ride, which I feel like wasn't marketed enough for this concept, or I feel like it would be way more popular. It would make sense in why in this concept art you could see what day you're on, because if you and your group survive, you might be able to go again continuously until you die or until you survive all 5 nights. Or you would be able to maybe, I don't know, get back in line with a ticket or something saying you survived your night, where you would then be put on to the next night on your next ride, or I have no clue. Or it could be something like as you go through the ride, you see more signs indicating the new night starting, which, you know, the cart would have separate paths if you died or if you made it. So, I mean, who knows? And then as you continuously go, the difficulty would get harder and harder and harder, and I mean, literally the possibilities are endless. But if they had any of these features, then what would be the point of surviving till night 5? Well, let's take a look at the pamphlet again. At the bottom, there's a small list that shows everything the experience includes, some of which was mentioned in the statement, such as real-time gaming, supersized 3D projections, custom ride vehicles, immersive sets and scenery, lifelike animatronics, and multiple endings, which, as I said, was some of the things that the official statement for the ride said as well. Then underneath it, it says a different ride every time. So that means if you get a different ride every time, and if there's multiple endings, that suggests that maybe after surviving all 5 nights, you get a 6th night, or maybe even a hidden ending compared to if you just died. Or hell, maybe you'd even get a custom night mode, who knows? If you get a different ride every time, you could probably get different scenes, animatronics, and so much more. Literally, the opportunities are endless with this concept, and it really just makes you think why this ride was cancelled. I mean, recording this just makes me super excited for it because of how amazing it sounds, but then I remember it's cancelled and it just makes me sad because I don't know why they didn't go through with it. So I'm sure many of you are asking the reason for its cancellation. I mean, this is literally FNAF in real life, the ride. This would be an instant success, so like what happened? Well, I want to go over a theory the community has had for some time that might shine some light into the real reason it was never made. Many people believe that the main reason this ride was cancelled was because FNAF was starting to lose popularity around the time this concept was unveiled, which is true to an extent. Around 2015, FNAF was arguably at its peak, and then as months followed, 2016 eventually arrived, where FNAF was still riding off of its peak popularity, but was slowly losing interest as more time passed. So by the time the IAAPA 2016 Expo arrived, FNAF's popularity was no longer at an incline, but instead a decline, which led to the ride being cancelled. Now, this theory seems very plausible, and would make sense and give a reason to why it was silently cancelled and forgotten as years passed, right? Well, unfortunately, I have a confession to make. Or, well, I guess you could say fortunately, because I've been lying to you this whole time. Well, at least about the ride being cancelled. Everything else I just was saying was true about the concept arts and everything else, just not about the ride being cancelled, because it was actually never cancelled. Now, before you leave or dislike the video or do whatever you do, I know you have another question in the back of your mind now. With that being, well, if it was never cancelled, then why isn't it being made, or why doesn't it already exist? And well, let me explain. These rides, at least with Sally Corp, don't get built until a company, theme park, or something similar actually buys the rights to said attraction. Then after purchase, Sally Corp will build the ride where the buyer wants it, and will be mostly built to the specifications of the buyer, and will be tailored for the specific location. Then once the ride is built, Sally Corp and most other companies similar to Sally will charge the buyer rent for the ride, which covers repairs, fees, and so on. This rent, along with the buying price, is how Sally Corp makes its money from these attractions back. So if the buyer buyer no longer wants the ride, or if they can't afford it anymore, then they will just stop paying rent and Sally will come tear down the ride, or replace it, where another customer can buy it off of them. So with the amount of investment needed to be put into these dark rides, it can be a very big risk to actually rent out one of these, especially when it comes to IPs or concepts that don't seem as interesting or popular compared to others. So these reasons are why the FNAF ride hasn't gotten picked up yet by any companies, theme parks, buyers, etc. This also makes sense on why it didn't get picked up by someone around 2016, when the concept was shown off, because FNAF was technically losing interest in the eyes of investors. The concept art, along with the Pirates Cove mockup, wouldn't really give too much information to what the IP is actually about, especially if you didn't really know what Five Nights at Freddy's was, compared to say like, I don't know, the Scooby-Doo ride, where everyone knows what Scooby-Doo is, and the possibilities are endless with that IP and its characters. There's so much you can do with it, right? But around that time, FNAF just wasn't at that level. It just couldn't compete with the bigger brands. But it's not 2016 anymore, and within the past couple years, FNAF has begun to take on a life of its own, with many new AAA games coming out, along with the FNAF movie, which was the highest earning horror movie of 2023. Even now, we have new games in the works along with a second and third movie. So with FNAF's resurgence, we might have another chance to make this dark ride real. But the only way we can get investors and buyers interested in buying this dark ride is if we show support for it and spread the word of it. I mean, last year Universal Studios showed off the real animatronics for the FNAF movie, and even started to display props from the FNAF series during the Halloween season around their park. So I wouldn't be surprised if they included a FNAF haunted house for Halloween Horror Nights sometime next year for the second FNAF movie, or even for the third. But if this does happen and it ends up being a total hit, then maybe Universal will buy the concept, or another theme park will, especially after seeing the success of said Halloween Horror Nights haunted house if it, ever comes to fruition. The only reason something like that could happen is if the fans, you guys watching this video, start posting about it, talking about it, sharing this video, or whatever you can do to spread the word about this FNAF dark ride. Even a couple months ago, Sally Corp confirmed to us that they were still looking for a buyer, even after 8 years, when an account named Lost Media Busters on Twitter posted this tweet. Exclusive, here's a look at a statue of Foxy created exclusively for the FNAF dark ride by Sally Dark Rides. It remains unclear if the ride has been picked up by a theme park company or still remains unreleased to the public, but this is cool nonetheless. In this tweet, we can see another brand new image of the Foxy made for the concept, along with some more props in Sally Corp's warehouse. But that's not what's important about this tweet, because Sally Corp actually commented on this post saying, "Talk to your local amusement parks," meaning we have a very high chance of this still existing, especially since this was just posted 3 months ago. Even earlier this year, there was a news blog posted online about John Wood, the co-founder of Sally Corp, where in one of his images you can see Foxy's statue in full display. And this is the only image in this article that actually includes a full statue of one of Sally Corp's animatronics, meaning they could be trying to tease it up to build hype, but who knows. I mean, if Sally Corp is watching this video, or whoever is a part of it, if this ride ever gets made, send me some VIP tickets, I'll make a ton of videos on it. Now personally, with all of these odds in our favor, I think we have a high chance of this ride coming to life, especially if you guys share this video or make a post or something online about this ride's existence. All of the videos you just watched were posted around October to December of 2024, and some of the information in said videos is now outdated. So with that being said, let's get into the next part of the supercut, with that being all of the new and updated information I have found and or discovered about these pieces of lost media. So let's start with the FNAF Dark Ride. Now, the FNAF Sally Dark Ride is the only entry in this video that has no new information unless the information is super obscure about whether it's still possible to buy or not. No significant news nor updates have been posted anywhere online about whether this is still available, and if any new modifications would be put into place if it was purchased. The ride concept is almost over 10 years old now, meaning that these concepts, along with the real-life Foxy built and used in the showcase, is honestly just pretty outdated now, especially with how the FNAF movie's animatronics and even the fanbase's fan-made animatronics look. Honestly, I still doubt we'll hear anything about this ride anytime soon, but I do still have hope, as later this year for Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights, there are plans to have a FNAF themed haunted house and or attraction at the event, meaning that if the FNAF themed attractions are popular enough and do good, well, Universal could buy the rights for the dark ride, or another theme park could, and then they could update it to make it more modern and up to date to modern FNAF. Honestly, this is the only way I'll ever see this ride getting made, along with new news happening about it, so let's hope that this actually happened. But speaking about FNAF themed horror attractions, let's take a look at the updates we have on the infamous FNAF Fright Dome. Now unfortunately, we don't have any official updates regarding this haunted house or where it is or anything like that, but I do have a personal story regarding it that I feel finally puts the nail in the coffin about the remains of the FNAF Fright Dome after all of these years. Now this year, around 3 months ago, me and a bunch of other FNAF YouTubers went to the Level Up Expo in Las Vegas, where me, Withered Creations, Shy Crow, and Puggo's Pizzeria hung out around the expo and went to a FNAF cosplay meetup there, filmed content, and overall just had a good time and a good experience. But one of the nights after the Level Up Expo closed, I got the idea to go to the restaurant he mentioned in our interview to do a little bit of personal research and personally ask the employees about the Fright Dome and if it was still there. This was my first time in Las Vegas, and I knew I had to at least try to get some answers while I was there, as I didn't know when I'd be going back to Vegas again. Plus, I also wanted to see if Puggos was actually telling the truth in his interview. So when we got back from the convention, we set up a plan. The plan was pretty simple. Since Puggos already knew the owners a little bit, our whole plan was to have our whole group go there and get dinner. But as we would eat, Puggos would ask the owner about if he still had any of the FNAF merchandise or if he still had any of the FNAF Fright Dome stuff in the building, and we would eventually try to work our way into having the owner go show us the back room where all of this stuff was supposedly at. The plan was a little bit more complicated and in-depth than this, but this was just the basic idea, and since it was 3 months ago, I kind of can't remember all the in-depthness of it. But the best part about this plan was that we didn't really have to do any work, as Puggos would be doing most of the talking. So then, you know, while he did that, we would try to shimmy our way in to get more information and kind of figure out the whole story. So eventually, after we figure out this plan, we all drive up there and sit down to eat dinner. And after we order, we realize that there's no customers in there, as the only customers that were in there just left, meaning that we were the only group of people in there. And we also realized that there was only one person working, which means we had the perfect opportunity to chat with this worker to get our answers about the FNAF Fright Dome. So as we waited for our food, I kind of just explored the small restaurant a little bit and took a bunch of cool pictures of the props they had and stuff, as you can see on screen right now. And within no time, our food finally came out, and we finally started to ask some questions. Now, I can't remember exactly how the whole conversation went, but I do remember all the important stuff from it, so I'll spare you all the boring stuff. As Puggos talked to the worker and the rest of our group, we come to find out a couple things. Like, the original owner of the restaurant sold it off to Jason Egan's company, the same company that made the Fright Dome, and this is shown by some of the posters on the wall, as some of them were actually Fright Dome posters. So with this information, we used this as a lead and started to ask about the Fright Dome, and we were eventually able to figure out that the new owner of the restaurant still had possession of the warehouse in the back. So Puggos then just brought up the fact that he went back there with the previous owner and asked if the props and stuff were still there. And this is where the employee that we were talking to then picked up the phone and decided to call someone else, which we suspect to, I don't know, to be like the manager or something of the building, not the owner, but like the manager. I can't remember. And as we figure out, this manager is working in the warehouse area of this whole restaurant where the Fright Dome was. So as he calls this manager or whoever it was to come to the building to talk to us, since he didn't really know what we were talking about too much, we started to get excited, as this manager was working in the warehouse area, as I mentioned, had the Fright Dome stuff. So as we waited for this person to come, she eventually did, and we asked her about the back and a bunch of other questions about Fright Dome, and this is basically how the conversation went down. Yes, the props that I showed during the Puggos interview earlier are still back there, and they still do exist. She literally said that to us, that the stuff is still back there somewhere and that she passes it by her office every time she has to go to it, which was just insane. And it seemed like she would have let us go back there, except she didn't have a key to unlock that specific area where, you know, all the props and stuff were held. Now, I don't know if she was lying right here or not, but all of us kind of assumed that maybe like it was a lie, that she didn't want to tell us no, if that makes sense. But I mean, she said that she didn't have a key to unlock the area, so we don't know if she was lying, but regardless, she did admit to us that everything that Puggos said was true, and that the props are still back there and that they're owned by Jason Egan. So after this, we realized that we weren't going to be able to see the props, unfortunately, but then this is when a silver lining did come up for us. You see, without trying to dox the location of this building and whatnot, in between this certain restaurant was a gated parking lot, where there was an attraction right next to it. And after that specific attraction, people could either leave by going through this huge gated fence or by leaving, well, by going inside of a side entrance into this restaurant. So as we were eating, we saw a group of people enter that side entrance and leave through the restaurant's front door. So after we saw this, me and Puggos went back there. We snuck through this little door and we went back there to see if the garage door that Puggos was talking about in this warehouse was there. And, well, this is what I got. I pulled my phone out and I was able to get this video of this. It was like hidden behind a fence, and I was able to have my phone over the fence, and I was able to get this video of this garage. And Puggo said this is where the props were. This is exactly the warehouse they were at. They were covered by this garage, and this is where they were. But as you can see, there's just a hearse in there along with some industrial supplies. But that's where the Fright Dome was, or once was. It was right there, yet it wasn't. We were so close, but it just wasn't there. I will say though that in this picture I did take, you can barely see what looks to be an eye on an Endo 01 frame, but this could just be some other prop or an actual just like industrial supply that I don't know, but it kind of looks like it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any photos of anything good or anything like that, but it still does exist, and Puggos wasn't lying, as both employees straight up told our group that yes, it does exist and is back there, and that Jason Egan owns this building now, so he owns all of that stuff, along with the restaurant. So this is the update of the FNAF Fright Dome. It still exists, but unless someone can get back there, or if ownership changes, then I doubt we'll ever see more Fright Dome. We were literally so close to going in there, but unfortunately, we just weren't able to see it, and I totally respect that. The employees didn't know who we are, so I mean, I respect that, so I get it. So technically, it can still be considered lost media, but unlike FNAF Fright Dome, there was a piece of FNAF Lost Media that I did help get discovered and found, with that being, well, Dr. Creepypasta's animatronics. Now, I'm not going to say my video is the sole reason he came back, but it definitely was one of them, because as many of you should know, Dr. Creepypasta has finally started uploading again, and still has the FNAF animatronics in perfect condition in his possession, and he has actually been showing them off in a few of his most recent videos. Now, I'm not going to explain or go over the reason he came back, because he posted a 30-minute long video that explains everything on his channel, from the reason he started uploading again, what happened to the animatronics, and he basically answered just every question I asked in my video that went unanswered. So I'll link his video at the end of this one, because I don't really need to re-explain a full 30-minute video when you can just go watch his, if that makes sense. But the other reason I'm not going to explain it is because I was actually able to set up an interview with him and ask him a ton of questions that he didn't answer in his video. And with the help of you guys, I was actually able to ask him a bunch of your guys' questions, along with a ton of my own that I've had for, well, literally the past 10 years. So if any questions you have aren't answered in this interview, then please go make sure to check out his video after, as I'm sure they will be answered there. But if not, then maybe we can do a part 2 interview with him answering more future questions about the animatronics and stuff. But anyways, let's get into the official Dr. Creepypasta interview. Okay, so guys, I don't know how I managed to do it. I don't know. I struck of pure luck. I was able to manage to get an interview with the legendary one and only Dr. Creepypasta, the creator of the first OG original FNAF animatronics in real life, right here talking to me in this interview. And well, I got all your guys' questions, and I have a bunch of my own, and well, I'm gonna ask him all of these amazing questions that you guys have, asked, and we're gonna, well, get them answered. So
yeah, hey everyone, I'm Dr. Creepypasta, the creator of the original real-life FNAF animatronics, and I'm glad to be here.
Alright, I'm glad you're here too. So, what I'll do is I'll start off with the fan questions first, because a lot of you guys, I'm surprised how many questions I got and how quick I posted the community post. So I'm going to answer your guys' questions first, and then I'm going to ask mine afterwards. So, we're going to start with the first question. And that is, what revived your interest in coming back to YouTube?
It's a great question. So I've always kind of had an interest in doing something on, whether it be YouTube or just kind of in media in general. Hence why I kind of created the channel forever ago. And so I was kind of reviving that interest a bit. I'm in law school now, and I was thinking like, okay, do I really want to do law for the rest of my life? And maybe, but also another part of me is like still really wanted to do kind of the entertainment thing, and so I thought, okay, how could I do that? And I feel like probably now is the best time to start again, because if I were to, start doing a job and practicing law, then I'm not going to have any time to do this. So now is the time to do it. So I was thinking, okay, what type of content do I want to make? And I'm big fans of YouTubers like Nexpo and Wendigoon and guys that do kind of horror stuff in general. And I was like, I want to do something similar because I love all that stuff and I just think it's super fun to talk about. And so I was like thinking about all these ideas. And I was like, okay, I've got tons of great ideas of videos I want to do. What should my name be? I was sitting there thinking like, okay, I got to come up with like a memorable name, whatever. And then I thought, for whatever reason, my old channel, Dr. Creepypasta, popped back up in my head. And I was like, you know what? Let me, I wonder if I just used that old channel and just posted new stuff. Like, I'm sure no one would like care. Because my thought was, one, I don't know if people were still subscribed or, even like remembered me. I didn't really think people did. So I thought I could just start posting new stuff on there and get a new audience. And then maybe also do FNAF stuff on the side to kind of, I don't know, keep the people that are still there involved. And so I thought, let me just take a look and see if, what's going on. And I searched my name, Dr. Creepypasta, and I just saw all these videos like on YouTube, like where is he? The Lost Media. And I'm just like, what in the world? Like, no way. And I saw your video and I was like, no shot. This is crazy. And so I watched your video and a couple other people's videos, and everyone was just asking, where'd he go? He posted his last video in 2017. And everyone was just like, no one knows where he went. No one knows where the animatronics are. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. I had no idea that everyone was just so interested in like where I was, or that people still cared.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that people had found a Facebook listing, which I didn't even know existed at the time. And just basically, in a nutshell, I just saw all of the interest people had about the animatronics and the old content, and I was like, I might as well, I don't know, shoot a shot in the dark and see if people are still interested in my channel. And so I posted kind of like a short and like a teaser to see if anyone would respond to it. And like tons of people were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And I was like, okay, people are definitely sticking around. So then I thought, well, let's give this a second shot. And here I am. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad that my video helped bring you back. It's nice to see you back. So I'm glad that everyone, the whole community's support. Sometimes the community baffles me too. Almost 10 years now, or I think over 10 years now since the videos were posted, or however long. It's truly phenomenal, but I'm glad that, we're able to bring you back. So next question. How long did it take for you to get these animatronics made?
Oh boy. I will give you the best answer I can. Freddy was, I don't know. It's a little under a year, I think, for Freddy, because what happened there was I was playing like FNAF 2 at the time because it had just come out. So whenever that was, I don't remember what year it came out, 2014, I think. And so I was playing that, and in FNAF 2, you can unlock these collectibles, like toys that you can put on your desk once you complete like certain modes. And I really liked the toy Bonnie figurine that you could unlock for whatever reason. I just thought, oh, that's kind of a cool thing. Like, I wonder if I can buy that in real life. And at the time, you couldn't. And so my young self was like, oh, I wonder how like expensive it'd be to find someone to like make something like that, And so I asked my dad, like, hey, how hard would it be to make one of these things? And he goes, oh, not very hard, but why not just make like the animatronic version? So to stop from going too far into that, to answer your question, I told him that, and then about, I want to say, whenever FNAF 3 came out, it was like right before then. So I don't know how long the gap is between when FNAF 2 and FNAF 3 came out, but about that amount of time is how long it took for Freddy. And for the others, it was like probably a year, because I had to like actually set up getting those and help design those. There were like, 4 or 5 of them. So
Gotcha. So I think that would be, because FNAF 2, it came out in November, if I'm correct, and then I think FNAF 3 was March. So that's
sounds
about
right.
4-6 months around that. So,
Yeah, that sounds
okay.
about right.
Okay.
That sounds
okay.
about right.
Okay, next
That sounds about right.
question. Do you plan to make more animatronics or have Scare Factory make more?
Oh gosh. That's also a really good question. So, what
Uh-oh.
do I want to say here?
Oh, okay.
Hmm. Do I currently have plans to make one? No. Do I want to in the future? Yes. I don't know if it'll be with Scare Factory again. I'd love them to be a part of that if they want to. I guess I just have to figure out who I'd want to do to start, and then I need to find a place to settle down because I'm kind of in my transitionary period. I'm in law school right now at Notre Dame, and so I'm traveling between there and home on the West Coast, and so I don't really have a place right now to kind of set everything up. Like right now, the animatronics are in my living room at my house, and they're kind of just in the media room, just chilling there. So I don't even have like enough space to like set them up properly right now. But once I like graduate, which will be in about a year from now, a little less than that, I'll finally be able to like get my own place. And once I kind of get that settled, then I would definitely be a lot more interested in like actively starting to try and find a new one to make a new one. I just need to figure out one who I'd make and who I'd get help to help make one. But yeah, I definitely would like to make some potentially new ones in the future.
Okay. It's a good answer. I like that. You guys hear that? There might be more Dr. Creepypasta coming in the future. So. All right, next question. Here it is. Do you plan to do any upgrades for the animatronics that you currently have? So I guess that could be new features like, I don't know, say fog machine or new anything, I guess. I don't know anything.
Right. Yeah, I think definitely I want to upgrade them. Because right now, as everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people have pointed out in the comments, some of them haven't held up very well. It's been, like 7 years and they've been moved across the country. So they are kind of, what would you say, worn and torn, rugged, maybe some people would say withered.
Ooh,
Um,
some people would say that.
so, yeah, I would definitely like to try and, if not upgrade them, at least like fix them up so that they look a bit more, presentable.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely want to try and fix them up and make them a bit nicer and maybe add some stuff.
Okay. I guess this kind of goes back to the making more animatronics question, but another question someone commented earlier was, would you ever make FNAF 2 animatronics?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, those would be super cool. Honestly, I mean, those are the ones I would think of making next, if any of them, just because they're so different from the original animatronics because of like their, plasticky kind of toy look. I think it'd be really cool if I could actually have like a toy, Freddy or Bonnie or something that like looks like it does in the game. That's something I'd also fix in the future if I were to make another one, is really try and make it more accurate to the game and how they look in the 3D models in the game.
Okay, I got you. That makes sense. Yeah, I was literally just gonna ask because it just came into my head. I was like, would you make them look like the ones you have now or more realistic? But I guess that answers that. So, okay. Okay, next question. Would you ever plan on making like a short film or something along the lines of that with the animatronics?
Absolutely. I actually, well, I'm not going to call myself a filmmaker, but in high school and before that, my kind of dream job was being like a director and filmmaker in general because I just love making like short movies with my friends on Final Cut Pro and uploading them to YouTube, that kind of thing. And I really wanted to do that. To keep it short, I ended up pursuing, obviously not that, and now I'm in law school, but I definitely love to make films and just media in general, hence kind of why I'm back. But yeah, I'd absolutely love to make a short film. I think the hard but fun part would be figuring out a unique but interesting plot to involve them in, just because I don't want my short film to be just another FNAF short film. I would rather it be something, either I want it to be iconic, but also something that's not the same story we've already heard before. So
Okay.
I'd have to try and strike that balance of like, you know, staying close to the games, its story, but also something new thrown in there.
Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say, I think I just what is it? You made the VHS video
Yeah,
or something. I
yeah.
was like, oh, okay, that's kind of like that, I would say. So okay. Next question: are you happy with how the animatronics turned out?
Yeah, I definitely say so. I remember when I first got Freddy, I noticed that, oh, he definitely doesn't look like how I pictured him in my head, because he doesn't look like, you know, how he does in the games. But so at first I was kind of like, but then I mean, obviously it's like this, it's animatronic Freddy, and it's like the first one I'd ever seen in person. I was like, it's cool, you know, it's really cool nonetheless. And then I kind of started thinking more and more about it, and I was like, honestly, this is how I had imagined them to be, like, I don't know, in real life, because they have like fur and they're just more something like you would see at a Chuck E. Cheese, is how I kind of pictured it in my head after getting them. And so yeah, I definitely like them. Looking back now, I wish I could have, I don't know, had more oversight or more participation in like their design and that kind of stuff, so I can make them more accurate to the games. But no, I love them. I think that they are very uniquely designed and looking. And a Discord member of mine actually made 3D renders of them and put them in FNAF. And seeing them there, it's like, oh, they're pretty creepy, man. Like they might even be creepier than like the original models, just because of how like off looking
They're
they are, you know?
I played the mod a little bit early. Well, I have questions about that too, so we'll get into that a little bit more in
Great.
depth later. But I was playing it a little bit, and for anyone who doesn't know, we'll get you guys will see what I mean when we get into the interview a little bit more. But I was playing it earlier, and I was like, dang, these are really, they're not scary, but they're uncanny. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's a great word.
So I agree. Next question: which one of your animatronics is your favorite, or is all of them your
Okay.
favorite?
That's it's a hard question. It's between two. It's between Freddy and Springtrap. Uh, I want to say Freddy because he was the first one, and I think he has the most movements out of all of them too. I just feel like he's so iconic, like he's the real Freddy Fazbear. So I really like him. But at the same time, I think Springtrap is my favorite. I don't know if I want to say he's my favorite FNAF character, but he's like right up there. And I think that he's really creepy and well done too. So either Freddy or Springtrap. I'd probably have to say Freddy just because he was the first one, and you know he's part of the original gang.
I think a lot of people can agree with that. I'd say personally, my favorite is Freddy, but I kind of also at the same time like Springtrap's right there as well. So I agree with you there. Next question: would you change anything about these animatronics, whether it be looks, some of the features they have, or anything? I think we kind of went over this in one of the last previous questions, but here it is again, I guess.
Yeah. Would I change anything about the animatronics? Well, okay, I would do this. So they're all pneumatic, so they run on air, and Freddy and Springtrap each have like their own compressor, which is how I could keep them in my room. So in my videos, you can see Freddy's in my room, and then Springtrap later replaces him. The other animatronics don't have that, so they have to be hooked up independently to a big tank, and that can be really annoying, especially when you don't have a big enough space to store them all and a tank. So I would definitely, for just convenience sake, build like a compressor, or not build a compressor, but you know, attach a small compressor to each individual animatronic so that they could run independently wherever they go. That's for one. Two, I probably would have designed them to look more like the game. Like if I were to do it again, that's what I would do. Which is not to say that I don't like how they look now, but if I could restart, I would try to make them more like the game, because my original idea was literally trying to bring Freddy Fazbear like into real life and like as clear as possible, or as close as possible to the original. So those would probably be the two things I'd change. Maybe other things, but I can't think of them right now.
Okay, gotcha. Next question: how were these made? Do you know what materials and the stuff that went into them was like, or Not really.
Yeah, a little bit. So I didn't physically build them. Scare Factory did. They're each made with different materials. Freddy is more like an actual like brown fur material. And he has like a felt top hat, and then he's got like a styrofoam painted microphone in his hand. And then he's sat on like this wooden box. Well, all of them are sat on these wooden boxes with speakers underneath. Um, and then Springtrap is made with, I don't really know what material it is. It's more of a plasticky material, um, almost a leather-ish for like his skin. And then he's got some like felt for like his chest and stuff. And then Foxy, Bonnie, and Chica are all made of like the same type of cloth material. That's just like dyed. And then they have all like plastic kind of translucent eyes. And then their endoskeletons are all like, I don't know, these like metal wiring frames that are moved around by these valves that like open and close that kind of make them move up and down and stuff. Yeah, that's about what they're made of.
Okay.
As much as I know.
Okay. I was gonna say from the videos they look, obviously Freddy, yeah, it's the fur, whatever it is, but like in the videos it almost, I want to say like paper mache in a way. I don't even
looks
know if
like
that's
that.
like, that's kind of what it looks like. So, but I would never have guessed like a leathery material for like spring
Yeah.
flag, so
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
interesting. Okay, next question. Now, I already know the answer to this question, and I think everyone, once they hear it, they're going to be like, oh yeah, well, of course. But someone had to have asked it, and that is, would you be willing to sell them?
Oh boy, would I be willing to sell them? No, I don't think so. My dad wanted to sell them for the longest time, just because like they were kind of, sitting around while we were moving, and he just thought they were taking up space, and someone would probably buy them. And then he couldn't. Thank goodness he didn't, because I kind of wasn't involved in that because I was so busy with school and just life in general. Thankfully he didn't, because he was kind of attached to them. And yeah, especially now, like there's no way I could sell them. I don't think. If anything, I'd like donate them to like a museum or something if there were such a thing that would take so people could come like see them. Because the thing that I want most is like people that like them to actually come see them and like interact with them and touch them and like see them in real life. But obviously that's really hard given that they're at my house right now. So if there's like some public place I could store them for display, that's what I would do.
Okay, that kind of answers another future question, but we'll get into that one too once we get to it. So, but okay. Oh, actually, never mind. It's the next question. Okay, so next question is: would you create a haunted house / attraction, which could be just a public viewing area or anything, just like what you said, to have people come and view the animatronics in real life?
Absolutely. The only thing stopping me would be like the copyright stuff. Like I would love to do it. I don't know if I would be infringing on anything, especially now that Scott doesn't like own everything, like Steelable Studios and whoever. As long as I don't get in any trouble with that, I would love to. Especially like a haunted house. I think that would be such a cool idea. Kind of theme it like a FNAF pizzeria. Like it'd be I don't know, it'd be so cool. As my dad too, he loves entertainment and he loves haunted houses. Like that's kind of his thing. So I would 100% love to do like a FNAF haunted house with animatronics. But if not that, yeah, like I said, some sort of museum or something equivalent to that to show people the animatronics.
Okay. Well, if that ever happens, shoot me a message. I'll come film content there.
100%, you got it.
Next question. Okay, this is about the game finally. So for everyone that doesn't know, I don't know, I'll just do a quick explanation. So Dr. Creepypasta, he just had a mod made for FNAF 1 that features his animatronics in it. I'll have it linked in the description. It's free as long as you own FNAF 1 on PC. You guys can literally just download it for free. It's pretty cool. I played it earlier. I'll probably show some footage earlier after this, or you guys can just go check it out on his channel, but it's all right there. So that's what this question is about for anyone who doesn't know. But anyways, the question is, how did you get your Dr. Creepypasta FNAF 1 game made or whatever, whatever you want to call it, mod or whatever. What was the process to get that like made and have it happen?
Well, this may be not the answer people want to hear, but I don't really know because I didn't do anything. It was all my kind of everyone in my Discord. It's all thanks to them. Particularly a guy named Supermon. He he and some others made some 3D renders of the animatronics. I think totally unprompted by me. I think they just did it, which was super cool. And I think they were working on it. Like as soon as I came back, they were just like, "Oh, this would be a cool idea," and they just were working on the 3D models, and then I don't know how they put them in the game, but replacing all the models in the game with the models that they had made. And Supermon, I think, made the recreation of the FNAF 1 trailer, but with my models too. So basically, it was him and a couple other Discord members. They all did it, so I took no part in that. But it's great. Yeah, I don't really know how they did it, but yeah, they just did it out of love, I think.
Well, if Supermon, if you're watching this video, Dr. Creepypasta, bring him over here. Bring him in the comment section. Feel free to comment how you did make it, because I think, well, I would love to know, and then I think a lot of people would too. So if you're watching this video, comment it right now, and let people know. So next question, and this is the final community question that wasn't already answered in your was it like return video. So
yeah.
Next community question is, what Easter eggs and secrets are in your FNAF 1 mod? Is Golden Freddy or Springtrap in the game?
Oh gosh, well, they wouldn't really be secrets or Easter eggs if I told you all of them, or if I told you any of them for that matter. I'll give you some though. So a lot of I think actually every single original Easter egg that's in the FNAF 1 game has kind of been redone so that they're of my animatronics. So like the posters will be of like, when Freddy, when he was like trying to take off his mask, whatever, it's my Freddy doing it. Or when, Bonnie is like looking into the camera with his eyes really close, like it's my Bonnie. There's also like the posters on the wall. I forget I'm not going to know what camera number it is, but it's like the right hallway. There's like 3 posters of the animatronics. Yep. Those one are replaced with my animatronics, and then there's like an Easter egg in the game. I forget what they changed to, but that's replicated in the mod. And so there's like these other like creatures that some people have made with the models of my animatronics, and so they replaced that Easter egg. I think I will not say whether Golden Freddy or Springtrap are in the game, just because, it wouldn't be fun if I told you. So maybe you gotta go check it out yourself.
Yeah,
but
I guess
it could be.
I guess you guys gotta download a link in the description. You guys gotta go check it out. So there you go. Okay, so that was, as I said, the final community question. So now the rest of my questions, well, they're mine. So I have a couple here. Obviously, I've been a lot of these questions I've had, well, not a lot of them, there's like maybe 1 or 2 in here I've had since like 2014, 2015.
Let's
and
go.
Finally get the chance to ask. It's crazy how the world works, but here I am. But anyways, here are these questions. I'll get into the first one, and this one is regarding the video I made about you. So if you don't like remember what I said, I can update you on what I did say.
Yeah.
But the first question is, was any of the information in my video like correct? Mainly regarding I guess the animatronics, but like also I mentioned in your video, I was like I mentioned like your family and stuff like that. I don't know if you remember. I can do a recap on it if you need me to. But was any of that stuff or most of that stuff like correct, or was I just completely in the wrong field with that stuff?
No. I don't remember exactly what you said, but I do remember that I think everything you said was like 95% correct, just about. So I remember that part, but if there's specific things you want to know, I can happily tell you whether you were right or wrong or whatever.
I got you. So the one thing I was really curious about, and when I was making the video, I was like, there's no way that this is like true. I'm sure it is true.
Mhm.
But I was just like, when I found out about it, I was like, there's just no, like, what is the possibility of that?
Yeah.
I can't remember the name exactly, but your sister,
Sunny.
was she actually on Team 10?
Yeah, she was.
What? That is insane.
Yeah, pretty crazy, huh?
That is
Yeah.
wild. Okay. I think that was all
yeah.
I needed to know.
yeah, for a time she was. I remember one time I was coming home from, I don't know if it was school or whatever, and I get home and my house, there's always like strangers there for whatever reason. Someone's having someone over. So there was a ton of cars there, but I didn't pay any mind. Um, I had like a game room at the time. It's kind of like in the far end of the house, and so I was there and I was playing a game or something. I bet maybe even doing something with Dr. Creepypasta related. I don't remember. But then I was going to bed, and I have to walk through the like living room and then to my room, and I'm walking through the living room, and there's like all these people in the living room, and there's a dude. We had a massage chair, and he was like in there, like reclining back and massaging. I don't know who these people are. I'm just gonna walk right to my room, so I don't have to talk to anyone because I'm kind of an introvert, you know. And then I get in my room, and then I see this like hoodie. It says it's a Jake Paul hoodie. It's Christmas Day, bro. I think it's what it said because he had a song. It's every day, bro, or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh. But funny enough, that was Jake Paul and in the living room, whatever. So yeah, he was there with his you know friends or whatever, and yeah, I don't really know all the specifics just because I wasn't super involved with any of that. But yeah, Sunny, she is like a singer. She still makes music now. She goes by Sunny Days. But yeah, at the time she worked with Jake Paul and made videos or whatever with him. But yeah, it's kind of just a weird connection like between me and that. There's no, I don't know. I don't know how that is. It just, it just happened to be that way. So
That is
yeah.
wild. That is that I'll tell you, I would have never ever expected just that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's pretty
But-
wild.
Okay, so and then the other question about I guess your family is your dad. I think
Mhm.
what did I say in the video? Is your dad like a super duper rich famous dentist or is that wrong? Was that wrong in the video?
No, yeah. So he is a dentist. Yeah, he used to practice in Texas, and then we moved, and now he practices in California, where we are. So yeah, he's a dentist. I don't know if I'd say he's like famous or anything. Maybe he is, but yeah, he's a dentist. So
Okay. So I wanted to clarify that because the next couple of questions I have are kind of about that, I guess.
yeah.
But also in the video, I was like, and correct me if I'm wrong here because
Mhm.
this stuff is just I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. But so is it true? Okay, so in the video I feature like I think it was your guys' house if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Did it
Yeah.
have a water park in the backyard? And here, okay, if this is true, okay, wait, I'm not done yet. If this is true, did the animatronics in that water park have a correlation to you liking animatronics that led to you getting real life FNAF animatronics?
Yes and yes. Yeah, a water park. That's what you want to call it. That's what we called it. Just a big pool with a ton of slides and a lazy river. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, we did. And then I guess indirectly that could have been why I got animatronics. I think my dad just, like I said, he loves entertainment. I think in particular he loves like scary things and costumes and haunted houses, animatronics. Like he just loves all that stuff. And so I think because he established the relationship with Scare Factory by building all of that, he was able to help me work with them. Well, as much as I could work with them, get animatronics made from them for the band. So, and that way, yeah, it helped me get them.
Okay. Well, that answers my next question perfectly. So that's really okay. I would have never have guessed that, but that is actually really, really cool. So Okay, now no more personal questions. Now we're getting onto animatronic questions. But I just had them. It was so wild. I'm like, I just gotta double check. I gotta fact check. So okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Next question. How does the voice box mechanism work for the animatronics, and how do the animatronics themselves work?
Yeah. I'll answer to the best of my knowledge. The voice box works. You basically load the sounds that you want the animatronics to say on an SD card, and then you put that in their I don't know, their control box basically. And then with the controller, you're able to play the audio, and the audio will just be playing, and then you can hit record on the controller and record the movements as the audio is playing, and then stop recording, play it again, and then record in the middle of it to add more movements. And that's basically how I make videos with them.
Okay.
How they work, I'm not really an expert on them just because I didn't really build them, but all I know is that they're pneumatic, and so they use compressed air to open up and close valves, which move various appendages on them, whether it be like their eyebrows or their eyelids or whatever. But yeah, that's basically how they work in a nutshell.
Okay. Gotcha. Next question. How are the animatronics in condition? Are they still in good condition, or some kind of, as you said earlier, withering, or how are they in general? Do they still work for the most part, or?
Yeah. They definitely all still work. We had a couple issues with one. Freddy's jaw at first wasn't working. It is now, thankfully. And then I think that was like a wiring issue, just because they've been jostled around so much. And then we had a problem with one of the animatronics' eyes. I think it was Springtrap's eyes not lighting up, which we still need to get fixed. Probably another wiring issue. In general, though, yes, they all still work. They all are pretty good. The only thing is that aesthetically a little bit, they're a little worn and torn from being jostled around and moved across the country. And then maybe some wiring issues like lights and stuff. But other than that, yeah, they mostly work pretty good.
Okay. What do you do to fix them? Do you call up Scare Factory and they fix it, or do you just do it yourself?
Yeah, well, that's the question, isn't it? We're trying to fix them on our own, which we're having some success doing. If we can't effectively do it ourselves, which I think we'll be able to, then yeah, we'll probably reach out to someone at Scare Factory or someone else to maybe help us get some stuff fixed.
Okay, gotcha. Next question. So in some of your videos, I think in the video I made about you, in the intro, I used footage of the animatronics actually on a stage, and then I think Foxy was in a little Pirates Cove area.
Yeah.
Do you still have those sets, or no?
I do. I have all of it, thankfully. All of it's still around.
And is the condition of that still good, or is it also kind of a little beat up as well?
I think it's still good. I haven't actually seen the stage fully set up yet, because it's kind of just it comes in parts, and so it's taken apart right now and just kind of sitting in the corner. So I haven't examined all of the parts, but yeah, it's all together, it's all there, so it still should be fine. Maybe some scratches, but I haven't seen any. But yeah, I think it's all good and well. The Foxy Pirate Cove thing is the only thing that that still works and everything is fine with it, but the stage is not set up because we just don't have room, because it's kind of this huge circular stage for him, and we just don't have room to put that together right now. So I'm pretty sure it works, but I just haven't gotten to test it out yet.
Okay, gotcha. Do you think you'll feature, if you have room for it, you think you'll feature those in future videos as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then let's see, we have 4 or 5 more questions left, so Let's go. We're almost there. So, I guess you already answered this one, but I'll ask it anyway. So this could be a quick answer. But where exactly in your house is everything stored? The stages and the animatronics, and then where were all the videos, I guess, like your older ones, the first ones that you originally made, where were those recorded at exactly? Because they're in like such dark, dingy rooms. It almost looks like
Yeah.
I want to say like a haunted house. I don't know what a good word is for it. I'll tell
No,
you
yeah.
that was one of the first questions I've ever had about your videos. Is like, as a kid, I'd be watching them, I'd be like, that doesn't look like ordinary house, or I don't know. I just feel like it's so dark and scary. Like my house doesn't look that dark and scary or whatever. So
Right.
yeah, where exactly like did you record?
Yeah. So back in the day, I recorded Freddy's videos in my bedroom because that's where he was. He sat right by my front door, in front of my bed. And so I just put a camera up, recorded it. Then when I got the others, he moved up with the band upstairs to like our attic area, basically. And I think it's probably dark just because I wanted to make it seem like eerie and, try to set the stage a bit. So that's where they were. And then Springtrap replaced Freddy in my room. And now they are in our family media room, basically like surrounding. We have like a huge couch you can recline and like watch TV. And they just basically surround the couch so that whenever you're laying down, they're just like sitting there staring at you like they're shut off. So it's pretty creepy in there, but yeah, that's where they're all stored right now, along with the stage and stuff.
Gotcha. Oh, this one's a good one. This one might be fun. Have you heard the rumors about yourself, like the ones saying that you died? And how do you feel about these? I remember when I was researching the video, I saw like 5. I'm like, is he actually dead? I was like, what?
Yeah. I've heard that. I've heard the one where I'm dead, which, surprise, I'm not. And then the only other one that I heard is that I sold the animatronic, which, surprise, I haven't. Those are the only 2 that I've heard of. I haven't heard the other 3.
I think those are the only. What was the? I literally just saw it earlier. I can't remember what it was, but I can't remember what it is. But I saw. I forgot to put it in the notes, but I heard another one. I'm like, that one's just stupid. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know. It was just. I don't know.
I'm dead.
Yeah, it was whatever. I don't know. But okay. These are the final 2 questions, and these ones are a little bit more towards your fans and your audience.
Sure.
I guess you could say. So, final 2 questions, right here, guys. Final 2 questions, and these ones are the most, or sorry, not most, but more heartfelt ones. Next question. What is something you would want to tell your fans, whether it be about the support or just being, I don't know, awesome fans?
Yeah.
What is one thing, and even if you already said it in your 30-minute like return video, if you want to say it here again, the same thing, feel free to. But what is one thing you would want to say to your fans?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot I would want to say, but if I had to pick one thing, I would just say thank you. I was gone for forever, and I came back and everyone kind of welcomed me back with open arms, and everyone's just been so positive about everything. And just, I've heard so many people, like, I can't even count how many people have told me, like, oh my gosh, I used to love your videos as a kid, like, you inspired me to do this, or like, you were my childhood. And it just like touches my heart to know that I was able to, like, touch so many people with just simply recording my animatronics. And so just sharing something that I love with other people that kind of love that same thing is just such a blessing. And just thank all of you for watching and supporting, and just for being such nice, friendly people. So that's what I would say.
Well spoken, very well spoken. And finally, this was also another thing that was in your 30-minute videos. Remember, guys, go watch it after this. A lot of the questions that aren't answered here are going to be answered in that video. And if they're not answered in that video for whatever reason, maybe we can do a part 2 interview in the future. Who knows? But make sure you guys watch that video after this, because, as I said, this question is in that video. But I'm going to ask it again, just in case if, things might change. So, final question.
Right.
What do you have in store for the future of your channel?
Yeah, that's a great question. So recently it's been kind of like FNAF stuff, just because I wanted to, like, ease back into what I used to be creating. So for the future though, I want to continue to make animatronic videos, probably forever, or as long as people watch them. I want to do that because I enjoy making those a lot. I think it's super fun. So I'll do that. And secondly though, I kind of want to branch off from FNAF stuff, just in general, and I want to try and just do more horror stuff in general. So whether that be narrating scary stories or making more, I don't know if I want to call them video essay like type style videos, but just like videos talking about different things in the horror genre, ranging from horror games to I have like a whole list of stuff I want to do. Talk about like urban legends around the country and like explain them and stuff. And yeah, kind of just I branch out and try new things, and hopefully, introduce people to things that they haven't been introduced to yet or heard of, whether that be games, movies, just stories in general. But basically, just do more stuff involving horror-related media, whatever that is, or stories in general. So, yeah, so I think that's my future plans, and probably a couple other things that I'm working on right now. But yeah, in general, that's what I want to do. So.
And with that being said, you guys can go check him out right here in the description, along with his return video explaining all the other questions I was mentioning earlier that weren't answered in this video but are answered in that video. And also on screen right now is his channel, so you can go subscribe there, along with my previous Supercut video, which was about FNAF hoaxes, which is the exact same thing as this video, just about, well, FNAF hoaxes. And also too, for the people who don't know, my previous video actually was a collaboration with Dr. Creepypasta himself, and it was the Grand Theft Auto Creepypasta iceberg. But if you guys want to go check out those videos, they are right here on screen.